Hi, friends. Good morning. I wish you a very happy, peaceful, and prosperous new year to all of you. How are you doing these days? It's been a wonderful moment for all of us. We just want to make some resolutions this year in order to see changes in terms of finances, education, and lucrative opportunities in life. Of course, these things matter a lot for all of us. We just would like to make some progress rapidly, which you couldn't find the best way and the resources in 2025. Let's all welcome 2026 with brimming hope and so much of great opportunity driven successful life. Well, there are so many things that contribute for the well being of our lives and the people around. We saw a tremendous and unprecedented changes in 2025, which we don't want anymore to happen in our lives and even around. We just would like to be so happy and successful. These are the two things which always, you know, make our lives more colorful. What do you say? I wish you a very big success. Having said that, we have some, you know, dynamic points or else the path breaking keynote issues which would take a big toll and contribute well to make our efforts more radiant and obviously bring a sea change in the direction and the way we want our lives to be. First thing which we have to remember to reach up to the level or else the kind of success mark we want. Firstly, we need to find the deep driven and internal calling. And we should also be more proactive to demarcate the pros and cons of our actions. So we should be kind to strangers. Shall we try to be kind to the strangers that we come across on the way to the office, school, college? And we should also be more perspective driven individuals. What does it mean? We don't even think about what we really want. We do everything in a hurry burry way. At last, the decision making would become obviously not so good. So, we have to be careful about that. And we should also think about in this new year practicing tough love. What does it mean? Tough love, reminds us of being patient. We need to be patient, and we should wait for the opportunity. And we should also be very positive in terms of accepting the harder realities and the harsher lessons that life teaches. So let's summon all the strength in order to go ahead. In the new year, the best thing that you can do for yourself will be keep a journal. Please keep writing down, or else maintain a document. It could be an electronic document too, in order to make you feel fulfilled and remind you of your most important events that might be necessary to go ahead despite all the problems that swam around at times. Most of us do not want to remember the past. Sometimes that comes naturally when we feel sorry about what we could not do, and we always try to comment in a negative way. This happened, it shouldn't have happened, that happened, because of him it happened, because of her that happened. No, not at all. Everything happens as it is programmed to happen in the nature because it is supposed to happen. So, if you really understand the dynamic aspect behind this happening in the world, in everyone, in each and everyone's life, there would not be any issue of misunderstanding and mistrust. I recommend highly that you must today, in this new year, feeling fresh air of 2026, understand that we ought to honor the past. We ought to honor the past. Unless we honor the past, the path that we have before would become a little, tricky and lifeless. So, to make a very decent progress in the present and future, we must honor our past. I also wish to ask you to start your day every day at a particular time, preferably if it is the life of a student. She or he might get up around 5 o'clock in the morning. Would that be really difficult? I don't think it would be, but if you could practice, you will be successful. And it is not necessary to remind an employee, but all of us do have some similarities and dissimilarities as well. However, we can definitely maintain some consistency in practicing certain focal points which have complete focus and influence and a lot of impact on our productivity. So, in the new year, please maintain this point. And sometimes we should also learn such worry makes almost worry makes us paralyzed. We become so upset when there is a problem, financial problem, academic problem, personal problem. We don't want to share all the things with others. But this new year asks you, how long will you continue being worried? You ought to open your mouth and you ought to tell yourself that you will definitely have some way out from being worried, either by your individual misunderstanding or else miscalculation of the society in which you live. Otherwise, it could also be someone who bothers you. Anything could be possible. So, maintain this point in your life. You need to schedule worry breaks, firstly, in a day, how you can manage with this worry and what you should do to figure out, or else you can probably think about the best strategies to maintain peace of mind, and you should be able to focus on what is really necessary on the on particular day to really get away from this worry habit. You could definitely slot down your time in just view of thinking about past or else the burning issues in your life. So in this new year, please understand you can definitely manage your worry, and that could be probably mitigated quite soon. And the last thing that I would like to say, no one would bother unless we give something else to the society. We have been seeing so many atrocities in this country as well as world. Any problem that arises in the society could be an offshoot or else a branch of ignorance first and illiteracy, And but quite contrary to this point, I would say even illiterate people do live happily with some meaning in their lives. At times, we could find some people, those who have been well educated people, are involved in scandals, in cheating, as well as in bothering communities, which is unacceptable. Maybe you could definitely be not, you couldn't be part of that, and make sure that life is going to be very vibrant and inspirational. So we need to learn the art of being silent. So silence is a bliss. As the great writers say, people also have said, ignorance is bliss. Similarly, silence is also a great thing. We have already learned in many academic textbooks, speech is silver and silence is gold. Keep observing the situations and the context in which you actually are engaged, and try to make decisions accordingly, which would help you a lot to manage with your risky times and most challenging periods of your life. Never try to arrive at conclusions about anybody else unless you know completely about them, which is the most important principle that you must understand. And this year, my personal suggestion is, do not borrow money from anybody else. Money makes many things, but it also destroys good relationships. Don't borrow money from your friends, no borrowing from your relatives, and do not depend on anybody else. This is another thing. For students, please have focus on your objective of learning, and we have seen so many um, the confluence of different sciences with the technology. On a large scale, it has become science and technology, and the emergence of new technologies do definitely pose challenges for various science and engineering streams. So we can't stop learning. We should be we should be continuous learners. Sometimes it is difficult to work on what is necessary because eyes ears want negativity mostly. That is the human psychology. We have been programmed to make mistakes, but the reality is something that how and what we learn from the failures. This is another point which I would like to say this year. At last, let me conclude with these points. So please check your financial status before you purchase anything else. And also, please see your academic track record, whether you could make any changes. Is it necessary to go ahead with what exactly is happening with you? And number three, please think about your social relationships and the relationships with your people near and far, because man is a social animal. We need people around, and they must also be necessary to share our thoughts, because sharing is usually called caring. So we definitely need people to share our thoughts and know what we might have to do in terms of facing some hardships in life. So do not lose people and have people around. And yeah, it is necessary to update and upgrade every time. We have in the soft skills category skilling, upskilling, and reskilling. Yes, we should also do that. And at last, another most important point, be conscious about environment, friends. Stop using plastic, polythene bags, plastic related products, and bring awareness about the animals, particularly cows. They are eating plastic at garbages, and have some focus on these fossil fuels based chlorofluorocarbons. They get emitted every day and now, day and night. See, larger portion of India, especially recently, Delhi has been declared to be a very inconvenient place to live, and the government of India is also asking to find the best places elsewhere than staying back in Delhi territory. So Not only in Delhi, all metros have become a buzz with so much of technical devices, electronic gadgets, and motor vehicles, two wheelers, four wheelers. Let's take a decision not to use so old vehicles, and let's be more conscious about environment, because we must think about sustainable development. The development that we have should not find its end with our generation, and it has to go, further. And the future generations would also need all the five elements of fire, water, soil, sky. That means everything is needed for even the future generations. We may have prototypes um, in order to give some best user friendly technologies, but still nature itself is a big teacher. We have to respect it, and we should abide by its rules. Then only things will be positive. So friends, please understand, we have so much of responsibility to maintain equilibrium status in this environment. So we need to be thinking about water, we should think about air, we should think about soil, and forests. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam reminded us about planting at least two saplings on one's birthday. When you celebrate birthday, or when you cut the cake on 1st Jan, or else maybe this week, please understand, we could definitely raise plants, and we should also protect this environment, because we have been housed and harbored on this earth. So do not only think about your life, yourself. You please think about this environment and human relations, better financial management, good academic track record, having consciousness about environment, and being good to yourself as well as with others would obviously bring so much of change in 2026, I believe. And I wish you a very big success, luck, and good fortune, as well as peace of mind coupled with good health. Have a great and happy new year once again. This is NMR Polagani.